Hey, howdy, and hi. My name is JD. I'm coming at you right now with, I think it's episode maybe 10? It's episode 9 or 10. Nope, it's 10. I'm pretty confident it's 10. So I was going to talk about my best, like, early shooting, like, early gunfire, early gunfire warrior from season 2, which basically is like early gunfire. They have shields, stuff like that, which was Vlad the Impaler versus French Musketeers. Those are the only two. Vlad the Impaler won his battle. I believe that would be accurate, and the Musketeer won his battle. No other battle or fighter from season 2 had like really early firearms, like flintlock firearms, stuff like that. So I'm going to compare the two and see who would come out on top in the battle. Let me open up these real quick. So coming in the battle, the French Musketeers would have the main gauche, which is a dagger which is made to entangle a blade and snap it if the other person has a rapier. So, and then a rapier. Okay, it also has a wheel lock pistol. It's a one-shot pistol, takes about 20 seconds to reload, and then a flintlock musket, and then a grenade. Okay, all three of those are very effective. He is wearing the steel cuirass, which is a chestplate armor. A lot of deflection on it. It comes to a point in the end, it deflects bullets away. Very effective. Very effective. It did a lot of bad things to the Ming warrior. And that we're going up against Vlad the Impaler, who has a Killage sword, which is a curved sword, and it has weight at the end, so it has a really nice drag when it cuts. They say on the show it's only like really rivaled by the katana when it comes to its cutting capability. Okay, so the halberdian, which is an axe, stab, and then a pike end. Okay, and then a steel crossbow and hand cannon. Already out of the gate, I can tell you that the French Musketeer have a huge advantage. The steel cuirass body armor is very effective. Okay, it's very effective. A lot of deflection. It's hard to penetrate. They had a really early 3-barrel polearm that they faced against in the Ming Warrior, and they couldn't penetrate it. And the Ming Warrior's gun, I think, was a little bit more modernized. No, actually, I'm going to say it's about the same. So I don't know if the hand cannon can penetrate it. So that's a disadvantage for Vlad the Impaler. Let me just go ahead and go over this. The main gauche, Vlad also has armor. He has chainmail with plates of steel protecting his vitals. Okay, so it's not as heavy as the steel cuirass, but it's still effective. Let's see here. Vlad the Impaler has the Killage. Let's go over the Killage first. If you're going up against the Musketeer, the Killage is not going to be able to cut through the Killage is not going to cut through the cuirass. Okay. So the Killage's area of damage is narrowed to here. Okay. So already you're at a disadvantage. And you're talking to an opponent who you can only slash your weapon, and they can stab, they can slash, they can come in close to the dagger, so they can get you at all ranges. Okay. It's 4 feet of steel for the Musketeer and their rapier. And the Killage is strictly a slashing weapon. Okay, if they can stab with it, they never tested that. They never tested. And I would say there could be some blunt force trauma here, but you're not going to have blunt force trauma with the cuirass. The cuirass is going to avoid that blunt force trauma because it's going to transfer the energy out and away from the body. It's going to transfer energy up and down the metal. So then you got to go to the next weapon. The halberdian is going to probably, in my opinion, be the most effective weapon. You look at the halberdian versus the steel lock pistol. It could be effective. Okay, and here's where it could be effective. If you're penetrating the ring mail and you don't hit the metal plates, that's where it could be effective. And of course, also the neck and head. It has a lot of firepower. It was the best weapon of its time when it comes to one-handed firearms. So it is a very effective weapon. Don't get me wrong. But that is the weapon that could be rendered a little bit less useful, less good, because they have ring mail. And if you hit the plates, you're not penetrating the plates. I'm sorry. I don't care how effective the weapon is. You're not going to penetrate the plates. But if you hit the ringmail, you can definitely penetrate and get and kill. But you look at the Halliburton with Vlad the Impaler. The Halliburton, I've mentioned this before. It's about an 8 to 9 foot pole arm. It has an axe end, a pike end, and a spear end. So you're at a distance, and you can use it all three ways. So that I think is the most effective because you can hack down on the neck or whatever, and that's what you're going to hit. There's no shield. There's no shield there's no shield from the musketeer, so you're going to be able to hack. You can stab. I'm pretty confident you could stab that through with enough force. And if that worst case scenario, you can actually stab through with a pike end. Now the problem with the pike end is you'd have to get through it a couple times. I don't know if the pike end would go all the way through and penetrate the musketeer, but the Halliburton would be one of their most effective weapons. Okay. The steel crossbow could be effective. If you couldn't penetrate the leather armor of the Sun Tzu, I don't think you're penetrating the musketeer. Just straight up, you're not going to penetrate the musketeer. You're not. You may hit him in the neck or the face, and it has about a 50 yard range, so you could do it, but I don't see it happening. The best weapon chance you have at kills is the hand cannon. The hand cannon, I think, packs a little more punch than the 3 pole arm. And what I mean by the 3-barrel pole arm, the Ming Warriors, which is who the French Musketeers faced up against in Season 2, used the 3-barrel pole arm and could not penetrate the armor. I think that the hand cannon has a little more kick to it, so it might be able to penetrate. But again, I can't definitively say that, so I got to go off the 3-barrel test, 3-barrel pole gun test. Could not penetrate it. So therefore, I can't give the hand cannon that capability. However, the hand cannon was very accurate. So you could aim for the neck, you can aim for the face, but again, it does narrow your vital area where you can kill. So I think musketeer, all their weapons, flintlock pistol, for the most part, I think could penetrate the armor of Vlad the Impaler, other than where the metal patches are. Then you have the flintlock musket, which is going to have a longer range. It's a bigger caliber weapon, so it might penetrate the plated metal, but it'll definitely penetrate the ringmail just because of how much velocity it's going to have. And then you have the grenade. Grenade is a concussion impact weapon. I give the edge of the concussion impact weapon to the French Musketeers. Their armor could probably absorb some of the contact and deflect it. Plus the strap metal, but I don't think Vlad the Impaler is walking away from that. His armor does not protect against slashes. It only protects against slashes, does not protect against projectile. So if you throw that and you explode anywhere near him, you got to factor in it's probably going to penetrate through the chainmail and go into Vlad the Impaler. So I think the French Musketeers are the best, like not but early firearm weaponry. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. The most effective weapon, in my opinion, for Vlad the Impaler would be the Halliburton. The Halliburton would keep him at a distance, and I think that'd be the most effective weapon, especially because of how masterful the Musketeers are with their rapier and main gauche. Assuming that the wheel lock pistol will get one shot and then you're done because you're going to close the distance, unless they get a kill shot that one time. The flintlock pistol, you're going to get about 2 or 3 shots because it has a 50 to 70 yard range. You get about 2 to 3 shots before they get close to you. They're going to get the special weapon. The Vlad the Impaler will get 1 shot with the hand cannon. The steel crossbow is pointless in my opinion. And when it comes to carrying into battle, you can carry the rapier and the main gauche all the time. You can carry the steel lock pistol all the time. Flintlock rifle all the time. You can put the pistol here, you can put the main gauche and everything here, and you can always have a grenade in your back pocket. Okay, Vlad the Impaler is not going to be able to kill you. The killage, the Halliburton, the steel crossbow, and the hand cannon. I think the killage is your constant, and I think you have to walk into battle with one of the other 3. And I think that's a huge disadvantage. You can't carry all your weapons. The Musketeer can carry all of his weapons, so he can use all of his weapons to his disposal at any given time. So I think it would be very lopsided. The French Musketeer would walk away with this, just like they walked away with the fight with the Ming Warrior. They are one of the most effective killers of the early gunpowder weapon era. Okay, so that is my episode. Now I'm going to go ahead and just mention what Season 3 held for us. Season 3 was very was one of the more accurate seasons, and here's why. They actually take into other factors like diet, generalship, skill. Like, how much do you train? What kind of training is it? There's so many factors they factor in. So I think that they actually had season 3 was the most effective form of a lot of them. Trying to see if there's any on here that would stand out to me. I'll talk about them. I don't think any of them would go the route of not being effective. I was going to talk about it now, I guess. George Washington versus Napoleon Bonaparte. George Washington would win that. I think he does because he has the range advantage with the rifles. He has a range advantage with the rifles, and what else did he have? The cannons were effective, but not quite as effective. So there's not too much of a difference there with the cannons. I can't remember the other weapon. Let me look it up real quick. The other weapon was, they had a sword. The sword was pretty effective. So it was very effective. It had 53% kills. The brown basket musket combo was very effective. So it only had 3 weapons. They had short range, medium range, and long range. So it sounds about right. X factors were, this is what I like, X factors. Like logistics was one. Logistics, George Washington had as great a logistics as Napoleon Bonaparte. Okay, tactics. George Washington had good tactics, but Napoleon Bonaparte was a little bit better. Generalship, how well he commanded his troops and how well he used advantages when he got it. Stuff like that. Fatigue, he didn't get his fatigue because he's more of a hands-on fighter, not just a commander. Okay, so those are factors that I really enjoyed about season 3. So I do like that fact that he won, and I do agree with the outcome. So I'll go ahead and go down to the next one. Joan of Arc versus William the Conqueror. Joan of Arc had a handful of things working for her. She had a French arming sword, which was like a shorter sword, but it had like a half swording, which was a technique. She had plated armor, which I think is a huge advantage for her. I believe she won 51%. Actually, this was a very close battle. Both these battles are very close. George Washington only won 50.6% of the battles, while Napoleon Bonaparte won 49.4%. So they factor these X factors are really big in helping dictate the battle. Joan of Arc won 51.74% of the battles, which I think this battle would have been that close. The steel crossbow was a 2-person crossbow, but it had a better range. It was more accurate from a further distance. The composite crossbow was a 1-person crossbow. And then you have the siege cannon, which I like the siege cannon more, in my opinion. I think it's more effective. The siege cannon is more effective, in my opinion, than a torsion catapult, because siege cannon will knock down the walls of whoever you're fighting. The torsion catapult, it's launching stuff over it, sure, but there's no guarantee you're hitting something. Okay? And then plated armor is much more effective than chainmail armor. The plated armor alone would render the broadsword ineffective. The composite crossbow, it did not test whether the composite crossbow would penetrate the plated armor. I'm pretty confident the steel crossbow would, based on tests I've seen in the past. I wish they'd have tested that, but I do believe the battle was who won is who I think would have won. I think Joan of Arc was a little bit more modernized, a little bit more with the plated armor, and then like all of her abilities. The abilities that got her, basically what got her was her armor, in my opinion. What really helped her was her armor and her weapons. Armor and weapons were much more effective because they're just more modernized. The steel crossbow fires from a further distance. Siege cannon fires from a further distance. Plated armor can take more damage and keep on coming. They gave the advantage in sword to William the Conqueror. I don't see how that's possible because the sword can't penetrate her armor. But I'm not going to argue. Her X factors were really nice. They had physicality. They gave her 64 because she's a woman. William the Conqueror was 78. Experience 58 to 81. Tactics 78 to 72. Intuition was 84 to 80. Logistics was 74 to 72. And Killer Instinct and William Conqueror had that. But I really think what the real X factor was her plated armor. Her plated armor made it so a lot of the weapons, especially the broadsword, was really ineffective against Joan of Arc. So I like the way that one played out. Next one, I'm not going to go over the modern warfare ones. Genghis Khan versus Hannibal Carthage. This is not really a fair battle, in my opinion. You're talking about a warrior who basically used a lot of mercenaries. There's so much you can take about what they could have used in their battle. I guess is the best way to put it. You're looking at a Genghis Khan. He had lamellar armor, which had layers of like little plated metal. Okay, so you're factoring that in against. It is metal armor for Hannibal, but it's not done very well. Let me look at something real quick. I just want to check something out. There's a weapon here. They're saying the name of it. I think I know what it is. I just want to make sure I got it right. So just give me 1 second. Make sure I have the right weapon. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 more second. I've almost got it. I think what that is. Oh, there it is. Okay. They tested the. This is the weapons that they have for Hannibal. The falcata, which is a sword. It can cut and it is effective. However, it can't cut through metal when they test against metal. Okay. I don't think they have this wrong, by the way. I'm just going over everything. The soft lilferum, and then the war elephant. The war elephant was way underused in this. Okay, you're not going to kill a war elephant. So that's part of it. The soft lilferum is, and I'm looking at it right now. It's basically a spear, is what it is, and it's used from horseback, or elephant back in this case. So I do think it's effective. It's very effective. We got a lot of kills against the Jida Lance, which is used on foot. So, but more decisive battle was 54-70. I think it should be more decisive than that. Sorry, Genghis Khan, way too mobile for Hannibal. I like Genghis Khan. Don't get me wrong, but armor failures. It was actually the first time they actually had armor failures. Armor failure a lot of the time, other than one armor. Hannibal, most of his armor failed a lot of the time. The shield of the Genghis Khan failed 7.48% of the time, whereas the shield of Hannibal only shielded 2.8. That was the only real benefit that helped Hannibal, but other than that, his body armor and his helmet did not hold up very well. So Hannibal gets a lot of downside because his battlefield strategy was 76, which I think is horribly gauged. I don't think it would have mattered. I still think Genghis Khan wins this. He has more. He just was a better fighting force. It was more violent, I guess is the best way to put it. He's very tactical, and they did not factor that in. So I'm not going to go over that too much. I do think that the right winner won, so I'll go that route. Teddy Roosevelt versus Lawrence of Arabia. They had this pegged accurately, very well accurately. The Bowie knife versus some kind of it's a curved dagger. I think the Bowie knife is just. I think they're both. It's a wash. They're both as effective. Both swords were about the same. They're both. I'm sorry, not both swords. Both guns were about the same. One was more effective only because it's newer. Okay, one was more effective because it's newer. So percentage of kills 54%, and the Gatling gun was more effective than the Vickers. The reason why the Gatling gun is more effective, and I agree with this, is because the Gatling gun has a jam. You can literally pull a pin on whatever barrel has that jam, and you can just keep firing. The Vickers, the whole gun stops working, so you have to fix the jam on the entire gun. This battle went down to 51.64% for Teddy Roosevelt, and then 48.36% for Lawrence of Arabia. Where Teddy Roosevelt had the benefit was he was calm on the fire. He had a decent amount of battlefield experience, so I don't know why they gave him bad for that. There were other X factors that he had that he was good at, but Lawrence of Arabia is 88%, 88 for endurance. But where I think he had the advantage of his weapons were more, his Gatling gun was the big kicker, because you can kill from a distance with a Gatling gun, and then you don't have to worry about closing the gap with the other two weapons. So as long as your long range weapon is way more effective, which it was way more effective than the Vickers, you're going to win that battle. The only thing downside I will say about Season 3 is a lot of these battles seem much closer than I think they would have been. I think there's too many factors that they factored into these, and they took too many factors. It's nice, I like it, there's a lot of information here, and I love it personally as a historian, but some of these battles I think would be a little bit more lopsided. One of the ones that would be more lopsided is this one. I think it'd be more definitive than the way this one plays out. Ivan the Great versus Hernán Cortés. Hernán Cortés has a cuirass, just like the steel breastplate basically, and there's a lot of deflection on it. And then you're looking at plated chainmail with plates in it from Ivan the Terrible. Basically the same as Vlad the Impaler. It's basically the same. They both had a long range weapon. They're both effective. Both their guns are effective. The arquebus, and I don't remember the other one's name. Then you're looking at the I think it's basically the Halliburton. I'm gonna look it up just to be safe. Give me 1 second here. And I know there's probably a sword factored in here as well. Yeah, it's basically a Halliburton is what one of them was. So Cortés won because Cortés is just a better fighter. Is made to kill better. He's funded by the most probably the most richest empire of the time, which was Spain. So he had the best weapons available, and he won in basically every category except for the arquebus. The arquebus was the sword. Actually, no, the Halliburton was the most effective weapon. That's kind of a little bit astounding to me, but it won 54.94% of the battles. I think the reason why the pistol is an advantage because the pistol, after you fire, you actually held it with the axe. They had like a huge like polearm axe, and you use that to help you aim. Because then once they get close, you can actually just pull out the axe and use it to fight. I guess it's the way they did it, but that's why it was more effective. I think they're both a wash. They're both the same weapon, pretty much same caliber. They had it so they blew through like 2 bodies at one time. Both of them did that. I'm pretty sure if you lined up 3 bodies and you shot at just the right angle, you can get all 3 at one time. Okay. So this one was actually pretty accurate to what I think, 55% to 45%. I think it'd be a little bit more lean toward Hernán Cortés. He was much more effective. He did wipe out an entire civilization, for God's sakes, with like 1,500 people. With like millions and thousands and hundreds of thousands and probably 1 million people. So, just throwing that out there, so I don't see if there's any more. Crazy Horseman to Paco Villa. Paco Villa was much more effective because he had a better... He had better munitions is the best way to put it. He had better munitions. The same bullet went in both his rifle and his pistol, and he had a better logistics. He had a supply train. He's basically the Robin Hood of Mexico. That's the best way to put it. So he won. A lot of his weapons are much more effective. The rifle from the 1860 Henry, repeating crossbow, different bullet than the Colt. So your logistics are kind of bad. I'm not gonna get too much into anything else on that. I do believe, remember watching it, I didn't think there was a chance. It's 53.68%. Again, a lot of these battles are way closer than I think they'd be. Just because I think the numbers just kind of lean that way. And then you have the French Legion versus the Gurkhas. The Gurkhas are going to win. The Gurkhas are one of the most violent and one of the most famous, I would say, fighting force in the history of the world, really. So the Gurkhas are going to win that battle. They have much better weaponry, so on and so forth. So, sorry I got really into the, Season 3 there. I just want to go over it. I don't think I should waste another episode on Season 3. There's not a lot of issues I have with Season 3 other than there's so many factors that they added into the sim that I think it evened out the battles way too much. In Season 1 or 2, I think it actually played towards, okay, this person is going to win a battle. This person is going to be much more effective in this range, and that was like a game changer. I think there's game changers in this. For example, if you have an elephant walking to a fight, that could be a game changer. Okay, so there's things like that. But other than that, this is actually the last episode of this series. So if you watched it, I hope you enjoy it. Keep your comments to a minimum. Don't hate too much, but I really enjoyed it. So appreciate you guys watching. Have a good one.